talking on high CV risk and chronic kidney disease, a single disease spectrum. And Dr. Jitin Vora was also talking, and prior to my two talks, you understood how important it is that those people, patients with the diabetes, have a chronic kidney disease, have albuminuria, have a declined EGFR, also equally are responsible for deteriorating the cardiac condition. And we nephrologists have seen many times most of these patients would die because of the coronary and cardiac event. Therefore, the risk in CKD is primarily increased as soon as the chronic kidney disease can be measured. And this is important because most of us do not measure chronic kidney disease in the beginning. As renal function deteriorate, risk of cardiovascular disease increases proportionally. And end-stage renal disease cardiovascular risk up to 200 times than the general population, and it is associated with poorer outcome in post-cardiovascular event. This is what is important to look at, that you have the significant values with the CV mortality as the ACR start declining, as well as also the CVD mortality, and have been shown that as the EGFR declines, albumin creatinine ratio increases, mortality goes up. Therefore, overall, it's close to 41% patients of chronic kidney disease die because of the coronary artery disease, and others 8.6% acute MI, atherosclerotic cardiomyopathy, arrhythmia, and cardiac arrest. So it's preventable. It's a preventable, and therefore it has the importance to appreciate that these patients, sorry. Okay, what are the major causes of death in CKD? It's 54%. This is the latter publication. And then you look at the outcome of the mortality risk and the medical cost. As Dr. Bora was also talking, as the time increases, the complication increases, the total number of death as well as the cost also increases, and the severe kidney disease is the highest comparison with the total final outcome. So prevention of chronic kidney disease is equally as important as CVD in patients of hypertension, diabetes, and other conditions. Looking at the different stages, to look if it starts 100% here, stage 2, this is the total patient and the high CVR group, and it keeps on increasing as the stage deteriorates up to stage 3B. There's a 100% decline, and slowly over the period there is increased risk of the death. The risk also increases according to the EGFR and the number of events also. This is the, if you have less than 15 EGFR, it's 36.60. If it is less than 60, means normal EGFR, is only 2.11 number of event. This is a complex slide. What it shows that primarily chronic kidney disease could be in diabetic patient because of many reasons. Could be because of glomerular involvement, could be because of the podocyte involvement, could be because of the tubular involvement, could be because of the interstitium involvement. And there are patients who also develop acute kidney injury and chronic kidney failure, and both can lead to chronic renal syndrome. So therefore, as the nephron number decreases, there is adaptive hyperfiltration of the glomerulus, increased glomerular permeability, so there is a proteinuria, dyslipidemia, RAS activity also increases, and all these two have importance in choosing the molecule for the treatment. There are also inflammatory remodeling and tubulointerstitial fibrosis at the last, in which lead to decrease in GFR, decrease in urinary output, and many systemic complications. These are the risk factors which are traditional: advanced age, hypertension, diabetes, one important risk factor, dyslipidemia, tobacco consumption, male, gender. And there are the novel risk factors like albuminuria, bone and mineral disease, anemia, vascular stiffness, atherosclerosis, prothrombosis, and oxidative stress. So, a CVD risk with the, when you start with the normal, As it increases, there's a damage, decrease in EGFR, kidney failure leading to death. So there's a common milieu, cardio-renal interaction because of the heart failure, structural heart disease, prior current heart failure and refractory heart failure, all would lead to deterioration. So now going again back to the traditional risk factor, which could be reversed. These are the one which is malnutrition, serum albumin, renal failure, creatinine, inflammatory cytokines, oxidative stress, and calcification on one hand. And these are the traditional one like gender, which we cannot reverse, sex we cannot reverse, blood pressure we can certainly manage. We can look at the antihypertensive medication and the lipid level. So the CKD is in the center point, but the cardiovascular events are interrelated. If you take care of the cardiovascular risk, the CKD would be reduced. If you take care of CKD, the cardiovascular risk would be reversed. We talked already about it. And there are conditions in which you can have acute kidney injury and if not treated, lead to early CKD. Still GFR less than 60 ml, but hypertension becomes one of the component with ischemic phenomena. Post-acute kidney injury, if you have a tubulointerstitial changes, you can have also changes in the vascular compartment. Mild to moderate CKD, then also it leads to hypertension, dyslipidemia, and chronic inflammatory condition. Whereas sclerosis further leads to reduction into the filtration space, which is also cause of hypertension, dyslipidemia, and also a bad milieu like hormonal factor, anemia, malnutrition, hypocalcemia, retention of the phosphate, soft tissue calcification, and also uremic toxins. So the main core factor which is responsible is a common soil which leads to both endothelial dysfunction on both sides is atherosclerosis, endothelial dysfunction, and myocardial fibrosis. Therefore, large percentage of dialysis patients have traditional risk factor. Many dialysis patients have more than one of the risk factors resulting in the high risk, and some risk factors are result directly from loss of renal function. CKD alone should be considered to be in high risk category equivalent to that of patient with no CHD. Risk of increase with increasing renal dysfunction and severity of proteinuria, calcium intake and disorder of mineral metabolism. Anemia is major contributory factor. It affects even the ejection fraction. It also affects ultimately the RAS system and also affects the oxygenation. Uremic toxins and renal replacement therapy, we'll talk in a moment how they affect. But when the patient goes on the long-term dialysis program, if the vascular structure is not very good and they have adaptive background, they also tend to complicate. Increased plasma homocysteine level due to decreased renal removal, abnormal nitric oxide metabolism, and increased fibrinogen level all lead to prothrombotic state. Angina during dialysis, I was talking about this, most common presentation in patients with coronary disease, and those years, about 30-40 years back when we were doing dialysis regularly, most of these good drugs, we never had it. And diabetic patient would sometimes appreciate severe angina during the initiations of the older system of the dialysis. No, we don't see that. There could be exercise angina, dyspnea, arrhythmia, and silent macular ischemia, another contributory factor. So what should we do? We should screen and diagnose. This is the KDQI guideline. All patients upon initiation of renal replacement therapy, independent of symptom, should be screened. Transplant wait list patient should be screened. Change in symptoms and sign including recurrent hypotension, heart failure, they should be screened. Baseline ECG and echo, and I think it's mandatory, we all do it. Then exercise pharmacological stress echo if we are not able to observe it with the conventional investigation. Angiography should be considered in dialysis patient only when they have a very high risk, and we can use a non-contrast substance. Among non-ionic contrast, among those with residual renal function, N-acetylcysteine and isoosmolar radiocontrast media should also be administered to help decrease the risk of radiocontrast nephropathy. And administration of sodium bicarbonate hydration is not recommended given the increase in intravascular volume. Acute MI, we do it the traditional way, CK, MB and troponin or tubulin. And then cardiac enzymes, which are in now prognosis for end-stage renal failure patient. We talked about troponin. Prevention is the issue, and the main prevention would be the hypertension, and we have to treat it meticulously. Diabetic, younger people 130 by 70 or 130 by 80, elderly people 140 by 80. So this is the pre-dialysis value, less than 140 by 90. It should close to 130 by 85 during the day and 120 by 80 by night. Hypertriglyceridemia has to be answered, and fasting hyperglycemia should not increase more than 500 milligram. Hypercholesteremia also should be referred. In hypercholesteremia, before the trial, now we have evidence that it would decrease the cardiac event. This is the atorvastatin, this is the placebo, and these patients have significant decrease in LDL cholesterol, and they also decrease the cardiac event. This is a cumulative incidence composite endpoint percentage when statin was used. Increased calcium phosphorus product, the KDIGO guideline also maintain about the diet below 55 milligram per deciliter in dialysis patient. It is unclear whether maintaining lower calcium phosphate level is associated with decreases of heart disease. Oxidative stress increase is also contributing, and we have some nutritional supplement. So anemia should be treated either by the transfusion or doing by the iron therapy or by doing the erythropoietin therapy. Hypertension should be controlled by removal of fluid, if necessary, antihypertensive medication and ultrafiltration. The drugs, anti-anginal drugs, we all use it, we know about it, and nitrates, if necessary, beta blockers, calcium C. Aspirin, though there is a paucity of data related to the effectiveness of safety of aspirin in patients with end-stage renal disease. However, it should be reserved with caution. All dialysis patients presenting with acute coronary syndrome should be treated in the non-dialysis population, almost as in, with the exception of a specific attention to drugs that have altered clearance in kidney failure. And mortality after acute hemodialysis patient has been reported to be approximately 75% in 2 years. And that's very bad. If we take all steps of prevention, it wouldn't happen. So we can start aspirin, beta blocker, nitroglycerin should be given in initial time. Thrombolytic agent. PCI is the preferred modality in these patients who are waiting for transplant program. Thrombolytic agent, caution with hypertension, one can use glycoprotein 2B3A inhibitor, abcimab, and also eptibatide should also be used, but there is weak evidence. Heparin, old drug we all use during dialysis, and it also prevents the coronary event, and one should take care of the prothrombin time before connection, we all know it. Invasive management, short-term and long-term mortality after coronary revascularization procedure in dialysis patients is considered by higher than those in the general population, and the indication for these procedures are similar to one for patient without renal failure. One has to go for CABG in the preferred therapy, those with pre-vessel or left main disease, and CABG may also be preferred in those who are candidate for internal memory graft. Now, because of the better drugs available to us, most of these modalities are a little older. We can go for primary prevention, we can go for secondary prevention, and we can go for tertiary prevention. Therefore, to summarize, CVD and CKD evolved from a common soil, and the common soil is endothelial dysfunction, RAS activation, and dyslipidemia. And we have a drug now. You can give drug which would correct endothelial dysfunction, correct RAS activity, and also good drug for dyslipidemia. Early identification of these factors can help in planning for primary prevention, I was talking. And now all this empirical study, Carolina study, Kamlina study, all have said that you can look for primary prevention, and because of that, these patients would try to get better advantage rather than conventional therapy. Choosing a specific molecule to treat CVD like ACE, ARB inhibitors, statin, aspirin, and anticoagulants will not only improve cardiac outcome, but will also prevent chronic kidney disease. Non-ionic radio contrast should be used in, and renal function should be evaluated before any cardiac intervention, especially in the diabetic patient. Thank you very much.